Alright you guys, what is going on, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be working on the STI. I got one of the harnesses in, one of the replacement harnesses in that I needed to try to test the electrical system to get it back where I needed it to. Unfortunately, that wasn't the fix. So I've ordered literally the last harness possible that we have not replaced, which is the front engine half harness, which goes from the fuse box, controls the lights, the ambient temperature sensor, all that kind of stuff that hangs out up there. I just got a brand new one from Subaru, so hopefully that ships out here soon, so that way we can get that one in the car and test the OEM side of the electrical system. Today we're going to be doing a couple things. We're going to be mapping out our Haltech engine harness, testing some of the sensors to make sure that we can get connectivity between the sensor and the Haltech dash. The dash will tell us if the sensor is reading or not, which is what we need to do right now. So we're going to be doing that. I need to pull out the OEM ECU harness. There's a couple grounds on there that I need to sub-ground out to the chassis, because normally on the engine side of the chassis, there's a couple grounds that go out in the ground of the engine. We're not using that harness anymore, so we need to pull those grounds out and ground them out to the chassis. So, a lot of fun stuff happening today. Also, shameless plug, if you want to win the chance at potentially winning the 500 wheel horsepower capable EJ25 we're giving away, merch went live yesterday. So go cop a hoodie, go cop some sweats, go cop whatever you want. Every $25 you spend is one entry, no cap. Before we jump straight into this, quick Evo update for you guys. So back here, I actually have all the wheel bearings set aside for the Evo. So I've got both fronts, both rears, and then I also have wheels on the way for the Evo. I need to go get this crank repolished. We also have wheels on the way, so we're working with a company on a set of wheels. I will get more into that once the wheels come. They should show up tomorrow, so it might be in the next video, because the next video will probably be an Evo one, starting to get all of these hubs on, get the Brimbos repowder coated, getting that car as an actual rolling chassis. So to start things off, let's get this harness mapped out. I'm gonna get this intake manifold pulled off of here, and we're gonna start running all those wires to their prospective homes. I've done this once before, you guys have seen it. We just need to map out the harness before we go in and start looming it, so that way we know wire lengths, we know where they're going, we know where to make like splits in the harness and whatnot for different wires to come off. So let's get cracking. So the idea of what we're doing right now is this is the final harness mapping for what we're going to do in the engine bay. So I'm not going to loom anything up. I'm not going to pin anything. I'm not going to get anything 100% complete until we have all of the wiring worked out to where we want all of our sensors, what sensor needs what wires, what sensor needs what voltage, because there are different voltage outputs that will be sent to the sensor, whether it's 5 volt, 12 volt, 8 volt, all depends on the sensor. But it's really not too bad. So while this may look like some of your guys' worst nightmares when working on a car, I promise it's not as bad as it looks. Haltech makes this a lot easier than what it may seem. However, there are still some things that are confusing me. Like as going through here, just to give you guys a quick rundown, this bunch of wires here is for the Jesus, what is it called? The thing that lets air into the engine on the intake manifold, the throttle body, Jesus. That one right there, that orange bundle is for the oil pressure sensor. Let me get that guy back on there. We've got knock sensor 1, knock sensor 2, oil temperature, boost controller wire, which still needs a ground right there. We've got fuel pressure right there. We've got, these are DPO, or these are AVI wires that I don't know if I'm going to keep or use yet. Over here we have injectors 246 and ignition coils 246, as well as the cam position sensor, because the cam position sensor sits right back down there. Up there I've got the crank position sensor, kind of some of the ones that just kind of run through here. So crank position sensor, the map sensor, because the map sensor is tucked up underneath of there, so you can't really see it all that much, and the injector positive and ignition coil positive. Over here we've got injector 123, coil pack 123 going over there. So it's really not as bad as it seems. The things that are confusing me that I don't quite know is for injector positive, I don't know if I'm supposed to take the injector positive, which is this blue and red one, and I don't know if I'm supposed to splice that into 6 separate wires. So if I'm supposed to have 6 wires coming off of this, going 1 to each injector, or I don't know about that, so I need to look more into that. Same with the coil packs, because this is coil pack positive, this is injector positive, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do with these, because I only have 1 wire on the bundle, and I know I'm not just giving power to 1 injector. So I need to figure out how I'm doing that. Do I give power off of the ground stud or the power stud and then redistribute power to the engine bay? Like, these are the things that I'm trying to like figure out. I may strip the STI harness that I have sitting back there to see how like OEM does it, so that way I can learn a little bit more, because that harness back there I'm not using. So I don't know. I also have coolant temp sensor ran right there, so we're getting all this figured out. I still need to find a spot for this frickin' ethanol sensor to see where I want to put that, but in the instructions they make it like incredibly easy. So like as I'm going through here, this is all AVI 1 right here, or this is all AVI. So you have AVI 2, 3, and 4, which are all open terminals right there. So AVI number 2, I have oil pressure. AVI number 3, I have oil temp. AVI number 4, I have fuel pressure. So it does help to go through there and label it all as you're doing this. I'm gonna keep going through this, getting some more of these wires ran. There's a set of DPO, digital, I want to say they're digital pulse output. I think that's what DPO stands for, is digital pulse output. I don't think I'm using any of those, which is a little weird, which is another thing I need to look into to make sure that I'm doing all of this proper, so that way we're not fucking around with this harness shit later, so that way we can get it all 100% now. So let's keep running wires, and then after that we're going to do the breathers for the catch can to get that knocked out.
But mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working here today is evidence of that.
So I've got the harness pretty much 85% of the way mapped out. I think I can start testing a couple sensors here and there just to make sure that everything's working properly. There's a couple things I'm still curious about. I have a big wire bundle that's like all spares of like grounds, sensors I'm not using, VTEC, Illinois stuff, things of that nature that we're just not using on this engine build. It's a pretty thick harness, so it's a lot of wires we can remove out of there, and I can actually use those wires for the power for the injectors and the coil pack. So it definitely looks a lot less scary now that everything's kind of zip tied up and cleaned up a little bit. So all of these wires here are just gonna run straight up. These run out. Same with that bundle, it runs out. This is for, like I said, oil pressure, throttle body, knock sensor, coolant temp, power, and I decided I'm going to add in a fuel pressure sensor just for the ECU, so we're going to add a fuel pressure sensor there, so I do have the wires ran over there for it. We do have the map sensor wires ran up there. We have boost controller, power, and ground at this point done. These are wires that I know I'm going to need some of them, but I can't scrap that until I get like final location on some stuff like the ethanol sensor and a couple other sensors put in the engine bay. Like I said, I have the ethanol sensor, I just don't know where I want to put it. To be honest, I'm probably going to try to finagle it somewhere over there just to get it up there, or I might buy that IAG bracket for it and just kind of set it off to the side. This green bundle here is all like DPO and stepper motor stuff that I don't know if I'm using this or not, so I need to go hop online real quick, look at a couple forums to see what exactly those go to. This big bundle here is all spares of stuff that I'm not using. It's like narrow band, oxygen sensor, spare ground, spare power for outputs for like sensors and whatnot, like 5 volt, 12 volt. So I'm not going to remove any of this from the harness until I verified I don't need all of this, but right now this is all spare wires that I know I don't need. Inside of the car, I have throttle position sensor wiring ran through, so we can wire that up to our throttle position, or throttle, so that way it knows what like percentage it's at, but really not as scary. It definitely takes some time. This has taken about 3 hours to map everything out, where it's all going, figure out what I'm doing, and kind of figure out where I want to lay things out. That harness is going to be pushed up against the firewall back there, and it's probably going to be ran up top just to keep it away from anything, because we will have a downpipe going there. We do have our catch can going there and a few other things. So I need to go inside real quick. I need to go warm up for a little bit. It's like 30 degrees. I can't feel my hands. I can't feel my feet. So I'm gonna go warm up, go do a little bit of digging on, do I need those DPO stepper wires? If I do, I'll run them to wherever they need to go. If I don't need them, we're gonna put them in that spare pile. So give me like 25, 30 minutes. I'll be back out here. about something that takes a while. I've got the injector wires done. In theory, I could sheath them right now if I wanted to, but there's no point because I need to sheath the first half of the harness before I can sheath anything up here on the receiving end of these inputs. But let me show you guys how I did this because it is a little bit interesting. So I know wiring videos are just a blast, you guys. So you remember that blue and red wire for injector power right there? So what I ended up doing is, what you have to do is you have to wire them off. So injector power is the constant for the injectors for this. So we've got it wired off so it splits off this way, it splits off this way because our injectors are obviously split. We have 3 on this side, 3 on that side. So that split wire comes out here, wraps up, and then I also ran the signal wires in conjunction with it and trimmed them up. So that shortest one right there, cylinder 1 with the constant power and the signal. Cylinder 3 is the middle one, so it's got its constant. Can we focus on my hand? Focus on my hand. So we have its constant power and ground, same with cylinder 5. So those are going to wrap back like that and then go down to our injector right there. Second one will go to the middle injector right there, and then the last one will go to the last injector down there. So in theory, that took me about an hour to do. Like, this does not take, it's not a fast process by any means, and it looks like poop right now because it's not sheathed or pretty looking, but it works. So next up, I've got the same thing done with the ignition wires right here, but I don't want to cut any of these ignition wires yet or splice into that power for ignition yet because I'm not sure how I'm going to have the coils, whether I'm going to actually have them in the cylinder like I do right now, or if I'm going to remote mount them and run an actual lead to the spark plug from the coil pack. So for now, these are just kind of set aside. I also don't know what I'm going to do with the ground. I don't think I have an extra 6 signal grounds coming from any of the main extra harnesses up there. I'm gonna have to check. If I do have extra signal grounds, I'll run those grounds to the actual coil packs, but honestly I don't think I have enough. So let's do the injectors on this side. We'll get this side 3 injectors done and then go from there. First, I'm gonna go make some chicken nuggets real quick. Your boy's hungry. Alright friends, it's the next morning. I called it quits around midnight last night. I got the engine bay somewhat reassembled just to be able to check wiring paths for everything, and then I also got a couple other things knocked out. So let me run over that with you real quick. Then we're going to start wiring in the injector power and signal for cylinders 2, 4, and 6. So I got the engine bay pretty reassembled right now. I've got the downpipe back in just to check clearances. So with that harness pushed all the way up against the firewall, we shouldn't have any problems. Goes under the catch can beautifully, and everything routes as it needs to. Now here's the thing. So I was gonna make the breather lines for the catch can last night, but I ran into like a small issue down here. So those are -10 AN fittings on there, and the problem I'm running into, I need to see if I can find like a slim fitting for these because they stick out. They just stick out so far that I don't know if they even make a -10 slim like 90. So I'm gonna have to do some digging, see what I can come across to see what I can use for that, because that thing just, it like hits our fuel rail. Like, yeah, I could probably have it like come out like that, but that just looks, it looks dumb, let's be honest here. And I want to make this thing look like beautiful and pretty as is, like with all these like fuel lines and whatnot. I took the time to get the like the right fittings and whatnot, so I'm going to do the same thing with the catch can. Next up, I also got the wideband controller plugged in. So in here, the way that this works is we have our Haltech Elite 2500 here. This is the CAN connector that comes off of the ECU, and then that CAN connector actually goes to our wideband controller right there. And then the wideband controller has a split connection for more CAN communication here. So then the wideband plugs into the ECU, and then the dash plugs into the wideband. So if I come back here and I turn power on, you'll see that everything powers on. You'll see that the dash turns on as well. We have power to the ECU, and we have power to our wideband. So, you know, I'm actually kind of curious if I plug in the actual O2 sensor, if anything will change on that. Nothing yet. So if I come up here and I look at it, you guys can see wideband is the second one from the top right there. It's just reading 0.0. So it's worth a try. I didn't think anything was going to happen quite yet. So let's turn that battery back off. Come back here, circuit breaker, pop you off. I just wanted to test that real quick. There's a couple different ways you can wire it in via Haltech's documentation instructions. You can also use this one that'll connect to the ECU. It'll give you a spare CAN connector right there, and then you have to wire the CAN in itself. So we're not using that one. We're just going with the plug and play method here because that's what our ECU allows. It just makes it easier. So it's cool. We got that plugged in. I just wanted to verify and check that. So let's get injector power ran for this side of the fuel rail now. So to show you guys exactly what I'm doing here for these injector powers, you can see that I have this one done right here. So it tees off, so we've got one power supply there going up, and then we've got another power supply there. If it like doesn't want to focus on wires. So we've got that other power supply there, and then coming off is the one that I just added. So the way that I'm doing this is you de-sheath just a little bit of the wire right there. You de-sheath the one that you want to run the extension to. I'm using a little bit of solder to act as like a glue. Don't think that I'm using solder to only hold these connections together, because I know some people are going to freak out. Tanner, you can't be using solder on an engine harness, blah, 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 blah. Trust me, it's not just solder. So the solder is just acting as like a glue. This shouldn't change voltage or anything like that or power going to the injectors. Then I come in here with one of these open barrel, actually I have one right there, with one of these open barrel crimps right here, and I'm putting the crimp around it to actually secure it, and then I'm using double wall heat shrink to protect it. So like when it comes to doing the harness, I'm doing it right, okay? Like with all this power addition stuff, all these extensions we're adding on, I'm not just soldering wires together and sending it. So let's get this connector on there, get it sheathed up, and then we can start measuring out the signal wires for 2, 4, and 6 and get all that like taped up like we did on the other side. So I want to show you guys this because I was checking just to make sure that these are getting power, and they are. Now keep in mind, this is a really shit voltmeter. I got it from like AutoZone for like $5 or something like that. It doesn't read accurately, but it will tell me if there's power coming through these leads that we added on. Pop on our circuit breaker. Boop, boop, boop. So now I want to go ahead and take this ground, well I want to turn this to voltage. I have it set to 12 volts, but this thing don't read accurately, so I'm going to shove the ground one onto the ground. And this is going to be really hard to see. So if I come on here and I touch inside of our wire, so we are getting voltage through the additions that we added on here. So I'm just going to run through and actually double check all of these real quick. This is so hard to do with one-handed. If anyone has any recommendations for a really good voltmeter, let me know. So we're getting power there. We're getting power. Oh, the sheathing on this one is like super power. There we go. The sheathing on that one was like pulled back. And then last one, power. So we are getting power to all 6 injector wires, which is good. So that means we have solid connectivity there, baby. Which means we got wired in injectors. So that's where I'm ending this video. So solid progress. We have the engine bay, or that we have the engine harness mapped out in the engine bay, which is good. There's a couple wires that I'm still iffy about, like the DPO stepper connection, all those green wires. I don't know if I'm using those or not. I don't know if that's for like an older style engine or something that doesn't, I don't know. I don't know, it's for like idle air control valve. We don't necessarily have that because we have a drive-by wire set up, so I don't think I'm using those. So I might be able to reuse those DPOs for AVI, or I might be able to reuse those DPOs for something else. But solid progress. We have power to all 6 injectors. We have signal to all 6 injectors. Next episode, we'll figure out where we're going to put the coil packs. That way we can get the coil pack wiring ran also, and then we can keep moving through this. I want to focus on this engine bay harness wiring for a little while until we get it all knocked out, for the most part. Like, I watched a video from Haltech of them doing a wiring harness like this where they're wiring everything in. Took them like a week. And they do them all the time, so I don't know how long this is going to take me, so we might take some like intermediate breaks in there here and there. But also got the wheels pulled off of the STI because the Evo's wheels, the stock Evo wheels, are going to go on the STI for a little while because Riker needs these back because these are his winter tires and wheels, because obviously it's winter time right now. So the Evo wheels will go on that. My new wheels for the Evo get dropped off today. I don't know when, but sometime today. So I'll take those over to shop, grab the Evo's wheels, bring them over here. But that's all I got for you guys on this one. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to self-promote again because I very rarely do it on this channel. If you guys want to be entered to win that 500 wheel horsepower capable EJ25 that we're going to be building here on the channel, go ahead, snag some merch. Every $25 you guys spend is one entry into the giveaway. No cap on entries, so you can buy as many as you want. I'd say buy within reason, because if you want to buy a short block, there's just short blocks on the website also. So with that, that's all I got for you guys on this one. If you're excited to see the progress going down on blue over here, go ahead and hit that like button, turn to black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, one of these corners, no idea which one I'll put it in quite yet. If you want to do it, you're going to do it. I'm not going to tell you to do it, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.